All right, everybody. We're about ready to get started for our live show this week. I just need to update Shark's little image there really fast. But as I'm doing that, welcome everyone to our weekly show. We're still trying to come up with a catchy name for it. So if you have any suggestions, let us know in the comments below. I've updated the text or the layout for the chat. And let me know what you think about that as well. So try to make it a little bit bigger. It looks like it couldn't even stand to be slightly bigger as well along those lines. But
Yeah, I think the text needs to be larger.
yeah, I wonder if I can do that right from the CSS file. But while I'm doing that, welcome to our show for the week of December 1st. It is officially 1 month left before the end of 2019. So, how are you doing this week, Shark?
Uh, I'm doing good. Tired, but good. That's pretty much my answer all the time. Yeah, been working, doing all kinds of different stuff. A little bit of tweaking to your layout. Searching for another programmer. Hopefully, I have one that works out right now, but we'll have to wait and see. And for our second programmer. And been making some UI changes and a whole bunch of other little things. But yeah, bit by bit, little by little. By the way, you have a little bit of black bars there on the side of my
Oh,
image there.
we'll see if I can stretch you out a little bit. Good.
But yeah, I mean
Mm-hmm.
it's been busy and whatnot.
What do you think about
Change the
the
button.
text? You think I should make that any bigger, or you think that should be good?
Yeah, you should make it bigger. And also now that you've adjusted it, now the top and bottom are running off screen
Mm-mm.
on mine.
Yeah. It should readjust, I think. I hope. Always the fun of having to change these things around. If
Yep.
I go too big, then it gets all weird. Let's see. Font size. Let's try 26. Ta-da. That looks a little bit better. It's getting there. Pretty sure it is 7th. Alright. Let's leave it like that for at least right now so we can get to our topics. We'll be here for another 20 minutes readjusting. But any comments either on the Discord or you can leave them in the video about what you think about the layout as well. And we still need to come up with a name for our cast. So let us know about any suggestions. But with that said, it's been a very slow week again with Thanksgiving and Black Friday. That kind of kills any kind of momentum when it comes to work or talking to the regular people. You know, those who don't work from home there. You know, they're taking off while we're still working, right, Shark?
Exactly.
But we are still moving forward. My voice is about to die. Oh, man. But it is very disgusting out right now. It's been raining all day long, giving me a little bit of a migraine, so had to take some medicine for that. So I may fall asleep at some point. So Shark, you may have to take over.
All right. I'll take over. We'll just me in the chat will just poke you with sticks until
Mm-hmm.
you wake up.
There we go. But we are wrapping up, of course, the big news this week of the Steam holiday sale, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, all that. We'll get more people to watch. I can just see it now. 30 people instead of like the normal 10 to 15. They'll just come on and just see me going like this. Is he going to do something? I don't know. We'll just keep watching. Maybe we donate money. He'll wake up. It'll be my most successful stream. I won't even be awake for it.
and then you'll just start sleeping through all your cast.
Mm-hmm. But it's been one of those crazy times in terms of sales. I've been trying to buy the games that I want without trying to, go bankrupt at the same time. How about you?
Yeah, pretty much the same thing. Like usually Steam sale comes by, I buy 2 or 3 games kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But this Steam sale, almost everything on my wish list is on sale, and a lot of it at pretty dang good discounts. It's like, oh, oh,
Mm-hmm.
oh.
Yeah, my rule about waiting for games to drop down to $10 to $15 is certainly not helping me this week, because a lot of those games have been discounted there. I've already returned a few, but there's still some I've yet to even really dig into, like that Rise to Ruins game that I showed on stream.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have like a $10 or $15 rule. I have like I look at the gameplay and everything, and I kind of like come up with a price in my head, and then once it reaches that price, I buy it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so if it's like a Disgaea game or something, I might buy it for $55. On the other hand, if it's a 2D platformer that or 2D whatever genre game that doesn't have the best style, doesn't look like it has the most in-depth mechanics, and it's on the store for $25. I'm probably not going to touch that thing until it gets down to 10.
Yeah. And of course, a lot of the big name releases are still like $30, $40 even with the sale. And for me, that's still a little too much. I think, like I was saying on Twitter, like $25, $30 is kind of like my limit for a lot of games these days. Unless you're talking about, a Nintendo game, another XCOM, stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, I just evaluate them by what I think they're worth, kind of thing. And
Mm-hmm.
then when they hit that price point, I buy it. Of
Yeah.
course, some of them hit that price point on day one, and I buy it on day one.
Mm-hmm. I gotta be careful because again, it's very hard to, with how low the amount of money I get each month, to spend like five, even spending like $200, $300 on games on sale can be very dangerous for me.
Oh yeah, I have never done that.
Yeah,
Not well, I think I might have done that once, but
yeah,
I
me
haven't.
too.
I think even with all the games I bought over multiple purchases, because there's been like 3 or 4 sales in a row, kind of
Mm-hmm.
thing. Like I think I'm close to probably $80 now, but
Yeah,
I've gotten several games.
yeah.
I've gotten Turmoil, I've gotten Fight and Rage, I got Ori and the Blind Forest, I got Avon Colony, got The Takeover, got Armed to Gears, Mud Runner, Shining Residence Refrain, let's see here, Immortal Redneck, Death Road to Canada.
Now the good thing for me is that the starvation line yet is that I do get a lot of my games through press keys, but there's always those that I don't get, and I have to just add them on eventually. So I'm good on that front. But even with that said, I still have 54 games on my wish list right now. So there's no real way of getting around. There's just so many games to play. And the only big purchase left is whether to get Valkyria Chronicles 4 or that Spider-Man game for the PS4.
Yeah, and I mean this really ties into one of our previous topics about the market being flooded, and what
Mm-hmm.
we said is that even if we took off all these low qualities and all these asset flips off of the storefront, that would help the situation with
Mm-hmm.
the situation with the stores being less flooded. But the fact is there's too many good games that still exist out there,
Yep.
and that we don't even have enough money and time to play the good examples out there.
Yeah.
So
And that I've been trying to get through. I finally played that what was it, Fighting Fury, Fury Unleashed game last night, and I also downloaded or I bought Xenonauts. And Xenonauts is interesting. It's like if you haven't heard of it, it's basically a fan-made take on the original XCOM, trying to like bring up to quote unquote modern audiences and convenience of design. Let's
Yeah.
see.
Brian there asked a question about MMO mechanics, and MMO has okay, so it's weird. So MMOs to me are like when I first heard the concept, when I first heard about MMOs,
Mm-hmm.
I was totally sold. I wanted to play MMOs because everything they said about them was things that I absolutely loved. And then I went and looked at them, and they're just a bunch of fetch quests from RPGs. The one
Mm-hmm.
part of the RPGs that I did not like
Yeah.
is just busy work, and they include basically all the story in most cases, which was one of the key things I loved about RPGs. It's like they took everything I hated out of RPGs and took everything and put it in huge quantity, and took everything I loved out of
Mm-hmm.
RPGs and just threw it in the dumpster.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like,
Yeah.
and I have tried many MMOs, and I have not found any
Yeah. And
that I remotely liked.
the ones that I've liked are no longer in business anymore. You know, stuff like City of Heroes, Shattered Galaxy, maybe like Star Trek Online is like the only one that's still around. But like they've all just like fallen out of favor for me. Now, to Brian's point about like player interaction, that's a very interesting one. And because I can just imagine like that is just like in terms of like the server load and technology wise, that is definitely beyond my skill set. But it has been something that I think a lot of dollars have been thinking about.
Yeah, I know very little about that, but I gotta learn a lot about it soon.
And I don't even have enough time to get back into MMOs either. Just in
Yeah,
terms of
that's
that,
another thing.
yeah. Like I've watched like big name, like I've watched like footage of like big name YouTubers and Twitch streamers who play World of Warcraft, or they're playing that classic WoW, and that kind of gameplay does not interest me at all. Like I have no tolerance for raid gameplay.
hmm And like you said, like even if I found an MMO that would appeal to me,
Mm-hmm.
I ain't got time for it because
Yeah.
I got so many other games I got to play, and it would just have to be. It wouldn't have to just be one I want to play. It's one that I couldn't live without to be able to make time to play it, basically, because there are so many games that I really want to and really need to play, for research purposes and whatnot. So it
Yeah.
would have to be something that would kick those out of the door, which I don't see how,
Mm-hmm.
that would happen at the moment.
Oh yeah. And again, like even with our indie spotlight stream last night, there was just so many games on it that it's getting even harder to keep them in mind in terms of when to stop and when to keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
No, I got buddy. I mean, MMOs are free for the most part.
mm-hmm.
I can
Except if you're
afford
playing
free.
WoW.
Yeah, WoW's one of the unfree ones. I played WoW, and like some of my old friends convinced me to play with them. They had, they were starting up a guild and everything, and they wanted me to join, and they got like 20 other people to join, and I played it for like 30 minutes, and I'm like, when does the game start? They're like, it already did. These missions you've been running on with us, that's the game. It's like, okay, not interested. Bye.
And like it's strange. I've seen like AAA games like Mortal Kombat 11 is on sale for $29, and like even that to me feels like it's pushing it for like what I would want to play that game for.
Yeah, and this goes back to one of our other topics about time value versus quality and everything else in games. And from basically our analysis, there is, you know, it's not about how long the game is. It's also not about how much it costs. It's about how long you're willing to play the game,
Yeah.
and that gives you a value to the game.
Yeah.
And then that determines on whether you feel ripped off or if you got a good deal on your price.
And like with Mortal Kombat 11, I'm sure I can get like 5 to 10 hours out of the story mode, but like even for that, it still doesn't feel like it's worth $30 to me. And even something like Total War Three Kingdoms, like I'm sure is an amazing game, but I can't throw down $30 $40 on a genre that I'm kind of maybe sort of interested in.
Yeah. I think I've secretly been knew the results of that test this entire time. The little analysis there with the time, quality, and games, and I'm looking at these games as I'm in the thing and seeing how much time do I think that I would personally put into them, and then based off of that, come up with the price that I'm willing to pay for them. I wonder if I've secretly been doing that in my head this entire time.
By the way, Shark, if you're looking at the stream right now, is the bottom and top text still being cut off a little bit? I can't tell on my OBS layout.
The bottom is slightly being cut off. It's like you can see half of El Gordo's "I Don't Care."
Maybe I'll lower the font down by like 2 pixels.
Yeah.
Ta-da!
Oh, now it's white.
There you go. It takes like a minute. No, we'll have to update after the text. Like it won't do it until somebody else has updated things.
All right, let me test it out here.
Let's see. It still looks like it's being cut. I think the only way to fix that would be maybe making it smaller then, right?
Might be something you have to adjust in your OBS.
Or changing the layout a little bit. The price you paid per life. Yeah, you gotta be really careful when you have like consumable or purchases like that. It can really begin to annoy a lot of people.
And get into the very anti-consumer area.
Man,
in the end, I mean, old school arcades are very much anti-consumer. Although, if you got good, then you could make it anti-developer.
Let's see, I'll lower it down a little bit more. Takes a second for it to update. That may actually be good. Alright. Yeah, and it's very tough, like, when you're trying to get paid, and, like, this goes back to that conversation we just had. Oh, great, now it's still messed up. I mean, I have to adjust the, maybe the line height is the key to that. Make the lines a little bit larger, you think?
It might be just the capture window on OBS.
Yeah, I have it...
The way you have it set. Because I think you have it set for... See, the way the layout is made is you have, like, the entire hole there, the entire space is the size of the bar. The yellow bars are part of the empty space. So the yellow bars are sitting on top of the chat.
Okay, so maybe if I move it up like a
shrink
pinch.
them down a little bit to make it the size of the yellow bars rather than the size of the hole.
That could work.
And that's a great transition, Oscar, to our news topic on Stadia. You want to start that one up, or should I?
You can go for it since you pitched it for this week, or actually for last week. We were handed a time issue.
So Stadia has continued kind of into their train wreck, and we're kind of up. I just realized something. We can get better audio quality if I do that. But Stadia has continued basically into their train wreck mode to where they're not providing pretty much most of the things they promised, and the things they are delivering on, they seem to not be delivering exactly how they promised. Like like negative latency, where it takes about a half second to jump after you actually jump.
Mm-hmm.
I don't consider that negative latency. I consider that way positive latency,
And I saw a few YouTubers doing sponsored videos for saying it's the future of games and blah blah blah. And there's still that issue. We still have, not sure how people are actually earning money off of it, and it still seems like a big issue if you don't have amazing internet.
Yeah, like I honestly can't see this being the future of games in any way. I mean, it may be the future of casual games kind of thing, but I can't see this being the future of regular games because, I mean, we have the internet issue that is going to bomb out everything that's not casual kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
You have the fact that you're paying for a platform just to not own one yourself, not to own a PC or a console or whatever, and you're renting a console basically, or renting a PC, and that's just in the end so much more expensive because I'd rather spend $1,000 and own a PC rather than paying $30 a month forever to rent a PC basically. And that PC, I mean, you got to think about it on this end. They're buying the PC and renting it out to you. Of course, they're not going to be selling you that PC for cheaper than what they bought it to you for. So they are making more money. So why would you do that? I mean, it's like renting solar panels, honestly. Because I mean, why rent solar panels? Why rent anything? That's pretty much the thing here, because every rental, you're just paying more than what you would pay for owning it. Only real reason to rent something is if you don't want to own it and you just have a need for it for the next couple of days or something like that.
And if, to Brian's question, is essentially you're getting a subscription to Google, and it streams the games to whatever platform you're connected on, as opposed to you needing a computer or a game console to play them. So, and it's essentially, as we said, it's almost like that stream share that we've been doing, a remote couch co-op play on Steam. And it's the idea seems sound. Get rid of the console or the PC that you need to play the games on, but you're still limited by internet architecture, what games are available on it, and you still need that monthly fee in order to play it.
Yeah. And not only that, but I mean, this is basically a Steam that you have to pay for. It's a non-free Steam that is less appealing kind of thing. And the issue is still, even though you don't have to have a PC or console or anything, you still have to have a little box on the back of your TV or a specific Google brand cell phone. So if you don't own that specific cell phone, then you can't use their service. So not only do you're paying money for basically Steam to avoid owning a PC, but then you have to buy their basic console, which is a little plug-in that's like $70-$80 or whatever on the back of your thing, and then you have to buy their like $600 phone. And mind you, if you don't buy both of these, you're pretty much not going to get the best experience. Which even if you get the best experience, it's still a fraction of a percent of what Steam gives you right now for free.
Yeah.
So why would you pay? I don't know. Like, I mean, your Pixel phones. I don't know how much those are. Probably about $700. You know, plus your little attachment about $100. So that's you're paying like $800 to get a lesser version of Steam that you have to pay $30 or whatever a month for, and it's you know, with all the delay, the latency issues, and having to pay, you know, upgrade your internet, you know, paying another, I don't know, $100 a month on your internet service to have any kind of chance of getting anything decent out of this. I mean, like, there are so many problems, and you know, and the fact that Google is just making those problems worse by giving an inferior version of what they're providing, just makes it all the much worse.
Mm-hmm. And it just doesn't seem like it is the right competitor that the market needs right now. Because we're talking again about the whole Epic Games Steam fight right now. Hold on. Man, allergies are killing me. But we've been talking about the whole digital store wars, and Google just seems to be, you know, trying to do their own thing, but it's not really giving much value to why I should play this.
If I had to put out a guess, a suspicion out there, and I could be totally off bounds with this, and I mean, I'm very may well be, because, you know, word is that they're hiring more people to work on Stadia. But from what I gather right now, excluding that one point, what it appears to me like is like they expected this to fail. They knew the issue, you know, they knew that this was going to be a train wreck, and that they wanted to at least try to recover some of their money, or, you know, as much as they could. So they pushed it out early to try to recover money.
Mm.
And you know, of course, you know, that's more reason for them to, you know, openly promote that, you know, hey, we've always supported our stuff, and then give no reason to what's going to happen if they stop supporting it, what's going to happen to your games. I mean, all these pieces seemed, except for the fact that they're apparently hiring a bunch of people right now to come and work for Stadia. That's the only part of the piece of the puzzle that does not fit in with that. And I mean, who knows what that's going to lead to? I mean, maybe they're hiring people to come work for Stadia, and then the second they come in, they're going to, you know, it's just a show to show that they're supporting it, and then the second they get in, they move them to a different thing.
Yeah. And again, there's just not much there. Like, it's the same thing we had with the whole Steam, what was it, the Steam box. That, why should I give you money to play PC games if I can just buy a PC and make it myself? Now, again, the argument, of course, is it's for the non-gamers or casual people. But then we throw that argument around and say, why would a casual person be interested in something that's even more confusing in terms of the market than just buying a console or buying a PC?
Yeah. And I think that this streaming content could be absolutely, you know, the future of casual gaming. And when I say the future of casual gaming, I mean like the Facebook games, the mobile games, you know, all that kind of thing. Like, that could be very well the future of that, but I don't see that being the future of consoles or the
hardcore gaming,
the future of PC gaming.
Yeah, and again, the problem is that the world is still not, you know, up to code all around in terms of network architecture. You know, like, I can get download speeds of 350 to 450 megabits per second on my service. Now, that sounds like a lot, but you have to remember that if the servers you're going to don't allow bandwidth at that level of speed, it doesn't mean a damn thing. Like, when I download a game off of Steam, I'm not getting 400 meg downloads off of Steam. I'm getting maybe 20 to 25 if I'm lucky and nobody else is doing it. So there's lot that's going on in terms of the internet that's stopping these kinds of games.
Yeah, and on my side, where I currently live at, it's 100.
Mm-hmm.
But where I used to live at, as of like what 3-4 months ago or
Mm-hmm.
so, do you know what the fastest speed I could get there?
What?
15.
Oof. Yeah.
And mind you, that they fully supported getting rid of net neutrality because they were already creating slow lanes because they
Yeah.
had bottlenecked Steam down to 3
Yeah.
and making
Oh.
that completely unsufferable. And you know what my next best choice was
Mm.
of internet service providers? It
Comcast.
was no, Comcast wasn't even in the area.
Okay.
That was a no name
Mm-hmm.
fly by night basically cable company.
Mm-hmm.
Comcast wasn't even in the area. AT&T was the next best, which they had DSL,
Mm-hmm.
and I could get I think 12 with their speed.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next one below that was 56K modems.
Ugh, never again.
And then the one below that was also 56K modems.
Yeah.
And the one before that was 56K modems. So I had a choice between 56K, 56K, 56K,
Mm-hmm.
crappy, DSL or the one cable company that one cable company, freaking 15 download.
Yeah. And again, like, this is the issue if you're trying to have full-on streaming and cloud-based services. Like, to Kin's point there, that it's not really viable no matter how much consoles and publishers are pushing cloud gaming if the internet architecture is not up to code or not up to snuff as well as server technology. And
Mm-hmm.
these are issues that are completely out of the consumer's hands. This is one of the reasons why, if you remember, the Xbox One originally was not going to have, a disk drive in it. It was just going to be all digital, all streaming games. And that was back in, 2011, 2012. And people were rioting over it for a very good reason. Because if you're in a major city or a major area, yeah, you can do that easily. But what about the vast majority of everybody else?
Yeah. I mean, and the internet situation hasn't really gotten any better since then.
Nope.
The internet situation hasn't really gotten better in, 10, 20 years?
I mean, my download speeds have certainly improved. I remember when I was getting 20 to 30 Mbps. I'm up to 400, 400, 450. Again, that sounds amazing, but you have to remember that just because they updated the network architecture doesn't mean that the servers have been updated. So until they catch up, and not to mention the fact that it's one of those cases where I think it's like the rich getting richer, and you're not going to be able to do much in that regard. It's only going to be for the people, like the people who streaming and cloud-based servers are going to be used for, probably don't need that because they are in an area where they have the money and they have a good internet. So, again, why should I give Google money when I can do it myself?
And do it better.
Yeah. But I think with that, we better get to our first topic, or we could be here for a few hours.
Indeed.
And this is a good segue from our previous section about talking about game sales. And this is about just okay games. Are they still good enough in today's market? And this is a topic I know we've talked about in previous conversations. Internet speed, again, as a quick segue, it's more about what the servers can handle, and that's at the company level or wherever their server hubs are located, or whatever the term is. I mean, again, you can have a 2 terabyte connection, but if the servers are only having a bandwidth cap of 20 megabits, you're only going to get a 20 megabit download. There's no way you're getting around that.
Mm-hmm. Which means that the whole infrastructure
Mm-hmm.
of the internet has to upgrade, not just part of it.
Yep. But back to our topic. That, as you were talking about earlier, there are a lot of games being released, and I'm just staring at my list of 54 games right now, and that's just on the small scale. There's still more games I'm going to need to add on at some point. And is becoming a hard, push to get me to spend more money on these games. Now, honestly, there are games that I really want to play. Labyrinth of Refrain, Valkyria Chronicles 4, like those games, that's easy for me to buy, because I want to play them. But
Mm-hmm.
the games that are kind of like on that line, like I'm kind of interested, or it sounds like it'd be something up my alley. It's a harder push or harder sale for me. And then we have games that are just okay. They're not set to do anything amazing. They're not bad games in any regard, but it's kind of like that case of if you're at a car dealership and you have two cars at the exact same price, and one of them is 10,000 times better. Why should I get the lesser car for the same price? And the example that I want to talk about, of course, according to the thumbnail, yeah, and something like that as well. I need to look up that price as well, but while I'm doing that, we played that Untitled Goose Game. And, like I was saying this on stream, it's a game.
Mm-hmm.
It's not bad game, but, despite what YouTubers and streamers and everybody just going crazy over that game, it didn't really do anything. And that was a $20 purchase. And as a really like big
Okay.
example, like I got Labyrinth of Rain. Wow, I can't talk anymore. That game for $30. And I said
Mm-hmm.
earlier, Valkyria Chronicles 4 is $25 right now. So,
Mm.
like, think about that for a second. I could buy a game that's maybe an hour long for $20, or I put $5 more down and I get a full, 40 to 60 hour long tactical strategy game. So, like,
Yeah.
which one should I play? And to El Gordo's point, that Gun Crazy game, I looked up, it's a $5 game. Now, and this is where it gets very tough about this topic.
Well, I think one of the important things that you didn't mention, but I know you
Mm-hmm.
meant, and that's that you're only getting an hour experience with the Goose Game,
Mm-hmm.
but it's an hour of it's okay,
Yeah.
kind of experience. Where with Valkyria Chronicles, you're going to get 40, 60 hours of like, oh my god, this is awesome
Yeah.
experience.
And,
And
go ahead.
I would rather have an hour of oh my god, this is you know really amazing than an hour of this is okay, and that would be plenty well worth $5 more for me.
Mm-hmm.
Just that aspect alone, but then you add the other 59 hours behind that of being good, and it's like, yeah, why would I pay
Mm-hmm.
$20 for that?
Yeah. And like getting back to the point of something like Gun Crazy is not priced very high for obvious reasons. Like you couldn't see a game like that for $20. It just doesn't work like that.
Are you talking about that 15-minute long
Yeah.
game?
But
What
here's
is it priced at?
what
What is it priced at?
$5.
Uh,
But and like just as your comment there, your little murmur there, that's the other point. Even $5 for someone like that seems very high these days. And that's
hmm
not even counting when we're on sale. There are plenty of $10 to $15 games that provide dozens of hours of entertainment. And
Oh yeah.
again, it's that situation of the days where you could just make an okay game and expect to sell, I think they're gone. And we're even just separating the fact that AAA games are being discounted right now. Like as a case in point, I just looked up XCOM 2. I can get the entire XCOM 2 experience for $20. Like that is an insane amount of value, which I already bought everything in that full price. Like I said, like you tell me a new XCOM game's coming out, that's a day one purchase for me.
Yeah. And the the issue isn't I mean the issue is part just being an okay game, and the other part being graphical appeal. As
Mm-hmm.
we talked about in the past, and but when you lack both, but you're really expensive
Yeah.
for that kind of thing, it's just like
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, like most of the games I buy are around $15.
Yeah.
Almost every game I buy is around $15 because everything that I find that is below $10, not counting $9.99, but because
Mm-hmm.
I'm counting that as $10. But anything below that mark, I have found they're very hollow experiences. Pretty much every one of them. There's been a few exceptions to that, but I've just they all seem like just okay games or worse. And I even encounter a lot of that at the $10 mark.
Yeah.
It's the $15 mark where you see very little of that.
Mm-hmm.
And 20, 25, but there are some in there like the unnamed goose game or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
And I'm ready for the refund button on that one.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Just but
Like it.
just I wouldn't pay 15, 20, $30. I wouldn't pay anything for a just okay game, because even if it was just $5 or just
Mm-hmm.
$1, I ain't got the time to play it. I got other good games to play. I don't even know if I would accept it for free, because I don't need that game cluttering up my Steam library, making it harder to find the games I want to play.
Yep.
I don't
And,
know if I would accept a just okay game for free, more or less pay for one.
mm-hmm. And to Algora's point there about it has affected the mindset for a lot of consumers that I want to get the game as cheaply as possible, but as high quality as possible. Like you'll see people complain in the forums of $3 to $5 games, saying, why don't you have the same features as a $20 to $30 game?
Mm-hmm. And
Eh,
that's consumer. That's an issue on the consumer side that would be a completely another topic.
mm-hmm. And now we can even bring in the AAA side, lowering their prices, getting the sales as well. That
Mm-hmm.
we're seeing games from the AAA space down to the same price as an indie or smaller title. So, like right now, I can buy the basic edition of Rainbow Six Siege for $8.
Mm.
So, why should I play your first person shooter that maybe is $5 or $10 when I get a AAA game for that price?
Yeah, of course. Some people would argue that AAA isn't the best in quality.
Mm-hmm.
It might be the best in visual appeal,
Yeah.
but
But that's also a good segue into our second topic when we talk about games that are visually appealing or interesting to watch. And there are just so many games these days that are everybody is competing for your time. Again, you can price a game however you want. That doesn't add more hours to the day.
yeah. The thing about during our whole talk on price and value and everything is the pricing seems arbitrary,
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing. And in the end, I mean, through my research for pricing our last game, pricing did seem very arbitrary in looking at it. And you know
It,
when Mojo asked me about the price and everything, like, I mean, I did research, I did comparable research, and kind of compared games and whatnot, but still comparing it to everything else, that's still very arbitrary, because there's just no
yeah. It
setup kind of thing. There's no way to determine what
exactly.
is a good price. There's
You can't we've had this discussion. I know I made several videos about it. There is no such thing as appraising game design. No matter how much developers and publishers think otherwise, you can sit down and say, a tactical strategy game like Disgaea is worth at minimum $25. A 2D platformer with Kaizo difficulty is worth $8. You can't do it like that. Getting back to Gloria's point earlier about how different people have different levels of appeal to certain genres. Like I said earlier, you tell me Mortal Kombat 11 is $25. I'm going to snub my nose up at that because I don't care about Mortal Kombat 11. You tell me XCOM 3 is $45. That money's being thrown at the screen the second it goes on for sale. But it becomes a lot harder, like from a developer standpoint, to know, what exactly is going to get people to buy my game. Oh, yeah, I know that. I'm just talking about it on sale. Like, even if it's on sale, it's not enough for me to get at that point. I bought Dragon Ball Fighter Z when it was down to $12, and I don't even think I got my money out of that one. And when I think about it, I'm curious what you think about this one, Shark. That when you're looking at a game, like from the consumer standpoint, I think there's kind of like a few different categories of people. You have, your hardcore fans, again, like me with the Skate or XCOM, our love of roguelikes, etc. Like, they're going to buy your game, pretty much day one. You then have the people who are kind of interested, but, they're going to be a little bit hard to convince. They'll probably going to wait for a sale. And then you probably have people who, they don't know the genre at all. They're going to wait for as deep of a discount to even just give it a first look.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I would categorize them in that kind of way.
Mm-hmm.
I would probably pick different categories, but yeah, I mean, I get your point there, and there's definitely something along that lines going on.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how I would categorize them, but I don't think I would do it the same way. I think there would be definitely the hardcore fans kind of thing, or the people that the game absolutely appeals to in some way. And yeah, I mean, those guys would probably be a day one purchase kind of thing. But then we go into the other ones. That's where it starts to get less clear kind of thing. I think there's many different kinds of people out there. People that, I don't know, people who are interested in the genre, people who are interested in the aesthetic, people who are interested in the development team as a whole, people who are looking for, I don't know, games to research because they're a game developer, or a YouTuber, or many other different things. And like, then there's people who, I know there's people that specifically only go after a certain dollar amount. Like I had several of them test the game, our last game, and like several of them told me that they don't buy any games that sell for more than $10. I was like, why?
Yeah, there are people like that. There are those who they just see the price tag and that's it. And they are very much in that same consumer model. And you have people who will not buy a genre no matter how much it is. You could give that game to them for free and they'll, throw it back at you like, I don't want to play this game.
Mm-hmm.
And
that'd be me in FPS.
Yeah. Or me with the driving simulator genre, or whatever, with Euro Truck Simulator or Bus Simulator games. And like, when we're trying to convince people to play these games, it's a lot harder when you look at something that's $5 and you're trying to think to yourself, what has been cut to make the game that cheap, or what is missing? Like another example, I've been playing a lot of those shop simulator style games, Dragon Cliff and Weapon Shop Fantasy. Both games are okay, again, but you can tell why they're priced so low. There's nothing really attached to them in terms of depth or mechanics. It's kind of like buying a game that just says paint boxes, and that's it. It's like a $2 game that you put color in boxes, and
I think there is a game like that.
yeah.
There's paint by numbers games on Steam.
One of these days, we'll do a stream of nothing but a Thief 1 and 2, and Elgato will pull his hair out during that whole stream. And I think to Neil's point about shareware, demo, stuff like that, I think I'm still thinking that there is a use for them. Like, we've talked again, Mojo, we've brought this up a lot of times about the 2-hour refund window on Steam and Epic Games, but it still doesn't feel the same as having a targeted demo. Like last night when we played Alwa's Legacy, sorry about that. That demo was pretty meaty. It was designed as a demo for that game. It wasn't just them letting you play the full game for 2 hours. It was curated and pitched to get somebody interested in that. Even something like Jeff Vogue with Spyro Absolver, a lot of his games that were in the shareware model, I think also work along those regards. Like, here's a question for you, Shark, and for the chat. Do you think the 2-hour refund window is a fair substitute for not having a demo?
That's a hard one. I mean, I think that it is and it isn't at the same time. Because, I mean, you have to place down money and then make a purchase and whatnot.
Yeah.
And then if you don't like it, you have to return it, which I don't know if that may count as a chargeback against developers. So developers may lose money because of that.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm unsure on that one. But front loading is going to be a thing, definitely in a demo, more so than it would be at the beginning of a game that you bought. Which I would say that front loading is better way to do it. Front loading is buy the game and see what's at the front rather than buying a demo, because a demo is 100% going to be front loaded.
Yeah.
There's nothing more to it but front loading.
And I think I agree with the chat as well that it doesn't have the same feel, and Alvaro just brought up that point as well. That, and like to your point as well, Shark, that while a demo is front loaded, it's also been heavily curated to make sure that a new player can experience it. Like if you give somebody a 2-hour window to play Stellaris or Total War, they're not going to know a damn thing about what's going on in that, because the base game isn't designed to teach you in the same way as a demo would be curated.
No, I think if they made a demo, it would be just as confusing.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because they don't really specialize in tutorials.
Oh, but yeah. That's a topic for another day there.
If they did, put more into their tutorials, then you would have that same tutorial both in the real game and in the demo. Yeah. So, I mean, that wouldn't really change anything there. That's just more issues with that particular developer.
Yeah. And
the way they issue out content.
And to Ken and Ogoro's point, they're like, we've had those surprising games where a game that nobody was really expecting to be good kind of wowed us. Like that Rise of the Slime. Just as we've had games that we expected to be really great disappoint us as well.
Yeah. Like that, I believe that new NIS game surprised you.
Yep. Yeah. Just as, what was the other game that we played? Again, I played so many games I can't even think about the games that disappoint me anymore because I have too many games floating around my head. But there are games that we've played.
Well, there was that one, I forget the name of it, the one like tactical RPG with the
Oh, the Fell Seal Arbiter, I think.
but no, that's not the one I was talking about. But
Oh,
yeah, I meant that one too. I was referring to the one where there was uh what's that one old Nintendo game with the
Wargroove, the Dance Wars
yeah,
one.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
that one.
Mm-hmm.
Wargroove is the one I was talking about. Yeah,
Yeah.
that one. Like I was super looking forward to that, and
Mm-hmm.
I was very hyped about it, and that was just a real big disappointment there.
Yeah. And Sekiro is going to be my most disappointing game of the year, and that will piss off a lot of fanboys too.
Hmm.
But when we're looking at a lot of these games that are being released, like, and I think this will be my final point, then we'll move on to weird games. Like, I look at, again, going back to something like Disco Elysium, that, or even a Shadow Warrior or Shadow Tactics, that game, that developers are pricing their game higher. And in a way, that conveys more value. But it still feels like it's hard to convince somebody, why should I buy your $40 game if I can buy another RPG for 20, 15, 10, whatever. But then, as we said, you do it too low, then it's a case of, why is this game $5? What's wrong with it?
Hmm.
Kind of like if you go to like a car dealership and you see a broken car that's 80% off. It may look good, but maybe the brakes don't work.
Yeah, exactly. You don't need no brakes. You just need to go fast, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But
That's safely
the
extreme right there. You
yeah,
know.
exactly. Safely extreme.
Mm-hmm.
The 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 issue is that when you have a higher price game, I mean that entitles your game to be worth more,
Mm-hmm.
but it may not be. I mean, like that Disco Elysium game, that's out there for quite a big sum.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't played it or anything, but just from what I've seen, it doesn't look like it's worth that much.
Mm-hmm.
But I have never played it, so I can't really judge it. But just off of my, I guess you'd call it expert opinion of looking at it, which
Mm-hmm.
is not an expert by any means, but just off of that, it just feels like it doesn't look like it is worth it kind of thing. But a lot of people are going to think really highly of that game because of the price, because
Mm-hmm.
of the sunk cost fallacy,
Yep.
and that's where we get into issues, and it's it's exactly, El Gordo. It's it's very hard to kind of nail down anything in that pricing of games. I think we did a fairly good job of nailing down the way your opinion is going to be after you bought a game, based off of
Mm-hmm.
the amount you enjoyed it, henceforth the hour you spent in the game, not
Mm-hmm.
the length of the game. I mean, it may be the length of the game if you completed it, but the amount of time that you enjoyed and played the game versus the price. And we found out that the more you enjoyed the game, the more hours you spent in it,
Mm-hmm.
the more you played it, and therefore the more you got your money's worth out of it. So it wasn't about the length of the game, but how long it could hook you for.
Mm-hmm.
And that determined on the price and how that was worth. And we've had many cases of very, very long games that would hook you for
Yep.
about 2 seconds. And everybody, like, people didn't like it. People thought it was a ripoff. Like, I mean, even if it was $1, if it only gave you 2 seconds worth of entertainment, what was
Mm-hmm.
you got ripped off because I mean you're paying $1 per 2 seconds. I mean, I'd like to have that kind of income.
Yep.
Dollar every 2 seconds. But like, I mean, like if you play a game for like 15 hours and that game is $15, like, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's a good deal. So I mean, like, and then when you get into these okay games, I mean, they don't ever really hook you at all. They just
We've used the term non-threatening many times as well. That
yeah.
it's a game, you can play it. It's like almost like when you're eating like non-food or you're eating like tofu. Like, yes, it's food, but
It's edible.
yeah, you can digest it, but it's not going to leave a lasting impression on you. And would you eat that again? And like I said, for a lot of these okay games, it's like I'm going to play it, but I'm going to have no desire to play it ever again once I've turned it off.
Mm-hmm. I may not even have the uh, inkling to continue playing it right now,
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing, because there's other games that I'm looking forward to playing right now. So why would I play this that is edible but not enjoyable? I mean, let's just say that I mean, let's go with your tofu example. I mean, let's just say that I've never had tofu, but let's just assume that it tastes like nothing. It's like eating air, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you get no kind of enjoyment out of it. It's just there. It could taste nasty for all I know. It could taste really good. I don't know. But we're just making that assumption. It tastes like air. So there's no taste to it. It's just putting stuff in your mouth, getting nutrients out of that. Why would you pay to eat air basically for I don't know $5 when you could have like I don't know think of like pizza or something that you really really enjoy when you could have that for $10. Why would you pay $5 to eat
Mm-hmm.
air when you could have
Yep.
pay $10 to eat something that you really enjoy? I mean, it
Mm-hmm.
just doesn't make sense. I mean,
Yep.
and that's where these just okay games are kind of at. They're the air. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
they don't taste bad. It's not like eating I don't know something
Mm-hmm.
gross.
Yep. And and again, like we're even having this issue. Mm-hmm. Of all the good games being lumped together. Why should I spend $25, $29 for Mortal Kombat 11, $25 for Valkyria Chronicles 4, $30 for Labyrinth of Refrain, $20 for XCOM 2? Again, there's only so much time we can spend on a game. And again, like for
Mm-hmm.
somebody like me, even less so because I have so many games to look at. I still have 9 more games I'm going to have to try and get through tonight for the stream. And even if a game is okay, I can't stay around for just an okay game anymore. It has to be an amazing title in order for me to even think about playing that on my own.
Yeah, and I mean that's really the problem with the flooded market, basically. I mean, back in the day, you know, okay games were enough to release a seed on Steam because it was very hard to get on Steam, and there wasn't very many places on games on Steam
Mm-hmm.
and whatnot. But now, not so much. I mean, you might be able to get somewhere if you get really lucky, but odds of you getting lucky is the odds of you not being okay. Basically,
Mm-hmm.
you got to be more than okay to really have any kind of odds of success.
Yep. But I think with that, let's move on to our weird game segment, and then we will talk about making a game more visually appealing. So let's see how this looks. I'm sure the shark symbol's gonna get it scrunched up when I switch. But let's
Probably.
see. Let me log in here. And we'll see what games. And maybe these games will be on our next Indie Spotlight stream. Who knows?
Yeah.
Let's see. Put this up here. Yeah, I'm going to have to update. String shark up. Almost there. There we go. Alright, everything is organized there. Alright, so what do we have? Alright, that thumbnail that... Oh good, it's a 232,000 word interactive romance novel.
No. Like every game that advertises how many words are in their
It's an indie game too.
That just gets me. Even like in like free text-based games, like there's so many free games out there and good games that are on like made in the Twine engine that are and I know Morpheus is currently working on one along that lines, but I don't care how many words are in the game. I care if the game is interesting and fun. Like the amount of words, like I mean, like sometimes the amount of words makes me not like the game because when they put an image of a room up on the screen, right, and then they go in and they say that you know they in the text below that they have like a book of words here, like that you have to scroll down the page like 3 or 4 times, and that whole entire thing is just describing what's in that image.
Yep.
And it's like the glistening of moisture on one of the leaves of the plant over in the corner is set off by the other glistening drop on the other leaf of that glistening plant. And the plant is green and lush, but it has this one dead stalk coming out of it that is eerily gross and detestable, but yet it intrigues you to a certain extent. And it's like, oh my god! And there's like 15 pages of this stuff describing this one image. It's like, what purpose does that serve to the game? You know, this is just painful. This is like torture treatment. You know, this is like lock you up in the basement and make you read this kind of thing.
Okay, there seems to be a. It looks like the next trend is just doing novels, interactive novels on Steam. I think it's by the same publisher. Oh, I know you. After your little rant there, Char, I know you love this line. It's entirely text-based without graphics or sound effects, because that is a positive.
Yeah, that's certainly a positive.
Let's see.
Like, I mean, I don't think that there's no place for games like that, but I mean, you have to have interesting gameplay. I mean, there has to be something interesting in there, not just the number of words you have, not the lack of stuff, but the inclusion of stuff, like choices. Make your own story. You know, I love the make your own story books back in the day where you know, like I remember having this Batman one where you had like 2 choices or 3 choices or 4 choices at the bottom of the page. Use your batarang, you know, to take out a light, or you know, and turn to page, you know, 67. You know, grapple across and then try to take out the thugs quietly. You know, turn to page, you know, 128 or whatever. And there's games like that are made in Twine and, you know, text-based games, and those can be quite enjoyable. But I mean, a selling point of those games is not having images. You know what I mean? Or not having images. I mean, that's not a selling point.
Yeah. Okay, here's
selling point
one.
would be having images on top of all that.
Here you go. Here's Game Dev Simulator.
Another one?
It features colorful graphics and an isometric view.
That sounds like top-rated features there. I mean, is it made by the same developer, or is this somebody copying?
I think it's a different one. Press forward on.
That's a Safely extreme name.
Okay. A lot of
Doesn't look like
indie.
a safely extreme game though.
Mm-mm. Skellboy? Hmm. Well, there's no genre, though. How will I know what this game is?
It's a Nintendo genre.
Which means it's automatically $50.
Yeah.
Pirates on Deck VR. Day
No
of
screenshots on it
Dragons.
either.
Online creature survival sandbox game. So you're
Yeah, there's
basically.
a lot of words in there that are very worrisome.
Mm-hmm. Didn't we just say that on the stream, or I did the interview, that every developer wants to make an open world style RPG as their first game?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, good. There's one for Draken right there.
Oh yeah.
Strike
All
Love.
the redemption in there.
Mm-hmm. Vampire. Wait, is this the new vampire game? No. No, is it? No, it can't be. I thought it's done by CD Projekt Red. Or am I being confused by which game is this?
Yeah, it might be. What's the developer?
Draw Distance. I think this is more of like a novel or a
Yeah, it looks like a visual novel.
yeah.
Probably one that did not obtain the rights to Vampire the Masquerade, and
Big Farmer's coming to the consoles.
wonder if
Oh,
that's going to get DMCA'd.
wait. I can't request a key for Red Dead Redemption 2? That's weird. I guess maybe they ran out of keys. Hmm.
But you can request it from Green Man Gaming, apparently.
Yeah, I think that's their affiliate link. Foxtrot Overrun. Viper Attack. Command. Don't Die Minerva is officially coming out. We already looked at that one. Defenders of Ekron? Adventure Shmup. Hmm? Again, looks very basic, unfortunately.
Doesn't look too bad, but it doesn't
Mm-hmm.
exactly stand out.
Interrogation. You will be deceived. Miss
Of
Hunter.
course, it could have really solid gameplay.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mean, look at my last game, it didn't stand out, but gameplay was pretty solid.
Oh, good. Euro Truck Simulator 2. Wait, which Darksiders is this? Oh, this is the shooting one, right? We're never going to see the end of this series, are we?
I have no idea.
Huh? I will put in a request for it. We'll see if we get it.
Well, if you put in a request for it and you get it, then you will never see the end.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I played the last two. I guess I'm kind of in it for the long road, right?
Yeah,
The Incredible Friends.
I think a lot of people seem to be that way with Kingdom Hearts.
Mm-hmm. MMA President. Vladimir Putin style. Ooh, ransomware dating sim. Mm.
That's definitely. I think that's the weirdest game of this one.
Which one, the Putin style or the
No,
ransomware?
the ransomware dating sim.
I'm afraid to click on that one. I got rejected from the Ancestors. I thought that game was out already. Unless it's on a different platform.
I think it's out on a different platform, but not out on PC yet.
What the hell is this?
Narwhal Project Hornwell. What is that? And of course, look at me going out to the nautical themed
Mm-hmm.
games.
Of course. Let's see. I have a feeling it's going to be a shmup. Oh, it has YOLO difficulty.
Oh, YOLO.
You need a safely extreme difficulty for Project Triad.
Yeah, I really do.
Oh, you get a passcode. Oh
What?
god, that's a feature. You have to write down a password to keep playing.
Oh, jeez.
Mm.
Just note down a simple passcode instead of implementing a save feature.
Mm-hmm. Shoot push portals. Hmm. Doesn't seem like a good week for finding anything amazing, unfortunately.
Seems like a good for doesn't seem too good for finding weird stuff either, except for a couple things. You
Oh,
can
that
never
Ashen
avoid it.
game that was a Epic Games exclusive. The year is finally up. It's going to be on Steam.
Uh, wonder if it's any better than it was when you played it.
Yeah. Alright.
I don't have a
Let's
high hopes
see.
for that one. Be interested to see what that does on Steam, though.
Mm-hmm. Zookeeping Simulator.
Did you see that Pulligans?
Which one?
Pulligans. It's like the 2D pull.
Uh, let's see. Dragon Quest Builders 2.
There's something for Hades.
Yep. It's finally coming. Oh, it's because the year is up. We're going to finally start. That'll be an interesting topic. I don't know if we can get too much about it, but seeing how these Epic exclusive games are going to do on Steam.
Yeah. That's going to take a little bit of time. Probably a few months.
Wait, do I own the Shovel Knight Treasure Trove? No, I don't know. They've updated Shovel Knight so many times. Yeah, I guess I own it. So I guess I don't need the key. Okay. Thank you, Yacht Club. Alright. Anything that we can end on a high note? Looks like
Kind of doubtful, but
asymmetrical
maybe.
difficult. Looks like a horror game. Rift Keeper. Wait, what the hell is Shovel Knight Shovel of Hope?
It's a Shovel of Hope.
How much Shovel Knight are we getting in December?
All of it.
I guess I'm still getting it for free. I'm not sure what I'm getting, but I'm going to get it for free. And there's a... What the hell? There's 3 different Shovel Knight games coming out?
It might just be modes or something.
Could be.
DLC.
Ooh, fighting game. Fighting with shovels. Warp through. Garbage classification simulator. Blocks.
My Home VR. Sounds like a great game.
Mm-hmm. Raccoon Venture.
That one sounds kind of interesting.
Cats are liquid.
That's everybody knew that.
Mm-hmm. The Adventures of Oodilly. Alright, I think let's get to our topic then, because this doesn't seem like it's going to be too interesting, sadly, of what games are coming out. But I'm sure I'll get a key request for some weird ones as we go forward.
Probably.
So, our second topic, though, I think kind of is a great kind of summation of what we've talked about today. And that is, how do you make a game appealing? Make it interesting for somebody to look at. Yeah, we've gotten so elitist when it comes to our weird games. They gotta be extremely weird now.
They gotta be safely extreme.
Mm-hmm. But one of the things that we've been seeing developers struggle with is making a game look like something that is interesting to play. And this is a major part of the growth of the YouTuber and streamer market. And as we were looking at last night with that game Deep in the Forest and something like Rise of the Slime, they both belong to the same genre, but they're completely different in terms of aesthetics and presentation. Yeah, of course. Appealing to gamblers there. And this is a very tough topic because aesthetics and presentation are often overlooked, especially for developers who are trying to copy somebody else's game.
Yeah, and visual appeal is something very, very hard to quantify.
Mm-hmm.
And there is so much to it, and there is not enough actual numbers or anything to go off of. And it's really hard, and I don't even truly know the answer to this, but I mean, polish a clean aesthetic that is stylized and visually appealing, polish, animations, all these things are definitely part of that.
Yeah. Yeah. And when we're trying to make a game be, like, again, like this kind of goes back to our previous topic of streamer slash YouTuber friendly, that mechanically wise, you don't need to be too, deep in terms of aesthetics for the mechanics to hook somebody. But the aesthetics and the presentation are what kind of keep that game memorable in your head. And as a Sharks game of the day is bringing up Chromasia, mine is going to be Darkest Dungeon. Because Darkest Dungeon is probably one of the quintessential examples of how much presentation can really add to a game. Because, like, if we broke down the basic gameplay of a turn in Darkest Dungeon, it's you pick your move, you pick your character attacks an enemy, the enemy attacks you. Doesn't sound all that exciting, but the game dresses that up in such a way that it's exciting to watch. The camera simulates the motion of your character attacking, and of course, you have Wayne June providing his amazing commentary on things.
Before we continue on this, I'll hit up Brian's question about his game. Well, I looked it up, and I looked up your name, and it was not a Safely Extreme name. It was a Safely safe name, because I looked it up, and yeah, I definitely found it somewhere, but it was not in the first page of Google or the second page of Google or the third page of Google.
And we see it with a lot of indie games as well, that I type in their store name or their game name on Google, and the actual website doesn't show up for at least like a page or two down. Let's see.
You need a search. You need a Safely Extreme name, which is safely, as in you can easily look it up, and extreme enough that it stands out and it's the top result when you look it up.
Yeah. And that's the thing, like, even naming the game, that's its own other topic. I mean, how many games did we just look at that those names just either were so weird that it didn't represent the gameplay, or so generic that nobody's ever going to look it up?
Yeah, and we've already even covered this topic because that's where we coined the Safely Extreme term from.
Exactly.
That's where it came from.
And it's very hard, like, oh yeah, what about the games that you put like numbers in the place of letters? That's always a fun one. Or what about that Sonic the Hedgehog super whatever, like that 20-word title? Nobody is going to find that game.
Yeah, and that's a case of extremely extreme.
Yeah. And exactly. And to Algora's point about like Death Stranding, and a lot of those games that are as deep as a puddle there, that there's just like nothing that really hooks somebody to keep playing it. And when we looked at a lot of the games that try to copy Darkest Dungeon, they do the same style. It's almost the UI is line by line the same exact look, but it has none of the presentation, none of the aesthetic strength that Red Hook Games put into their game.
Mm-hmm. But back to the topic, the issue with appealing to make it appealing to watch is a few things, because not only do you have all those things I just talked about, but you also have the fact that a lot of YouTubers, just play whatever they can play that they can make the craziest kind of content off of.
Yeah.
Where they can, use their YouTuber reactions to their greatest potential. Like when a duck goes and bees a a-hole to somebody, they're like, "Oh my God, look at the duck!"
Yeah.
And
then you just deafen a few people with that when you get a headphone warning. It's the same thing. Like, I watch a lot of YouTube. Oh yeah, and I love those compilation videos when people put together of YouTubers or streamers playing the same game, and they all have the exact same reaction at the exact same time of playing a game.
I haven't seen one of those, but I need to.
Oh yeah, and again, when you're trying to watch people play those kinds of games, and they're trying to boast it up there, none of it ever looks exciting. Again, I talk about that show, Player Select, that's on Disney XD. It's basically just YouTubers playing weird games. And, they're screaming and ranting and raving while playing these titles. Okay, you're just, picking up a burger meat. That's not you needing to scream at the headset there.
Yeah. So, when we talk about it visually, looking good to watch, I don't think we're necessarily exactly saying that you need to get your game on YouTube. I mean, some YouTubers are not like that. Some, do legitimately play games and whatnot. I don't know anybody like that. No. Current conversation.
Yeah, but I don't know.
There's somebody out there that does play games. And the things that appeal to, I don't know, let's just take a shot in the dark. I don't know, game wisdom viewers enjoy watching. I mean, I think we would have to ask them what appeals to them. But for me, as one of them, I like, seeing in-depth mechanics that are not confusing at the same time, which a lot of NIS games have confusing stuff. And even after all my experience with NIS games, I did not get half of the things Josh was doing in those plays.
Yeah.
I like, seeing, a good visual style. I like seeing, really good flashy animations. I like good story when Josh doesn't just skip right over it.
Again, if you're watching my channel for story or me narrating games, you have come to the wrong place. Just like somebody wanted me to do all the voiceover for that Colonel Sanders game. That ain't happening. I don't care how much cocaine money Child donates for that one. There's not enough money in the world for me to do the voiceover for that.
So you wouldn't do that for $1 million?
Maybe at that level, but we're gonna need a lot of waffles for that.
What about 100,000?
Everyone, pull your money together for that. Yeah. Exactly.
Anyway, there's levels of polish and everything that I like seeing, but I like more seeing, games that I think I would enjoy. But that being said, I'm not like your normal viewer, because I'm sitting here watching and dissecting all the mechanics and everything. I'm basically playing the game in my head as Josh plays it,
Mm-hmm.
because I see how everything is playing. That's probably not the normal experience for everybody who's not a game designer.
Yeah. And
So I mean, I really, like we really need to ask the audience on this. What makes it appealing to you guys to see like games that Josh streams?
I want to go back to what you were saying about Nice for a second, because I think that's another major part of this discussion. That
Mm-hmm.
when we talk about like a lot of the games that I play on the stream, they are very mechanical heavy. I love everyone coming up to watch me fail there, but a lot of the games that I enjoy, they're not really visually appealing. Again, I've played the Dissecting games. I've played those shop simulator games. We've played many 8-bit, 16-bit style games. And yes, like to some people, they love those kinds of pixel art, pixel style graphics. To a lot of other people, it's like jamming nails in your eyes to them. And
Mm-hmm.
the point, or what makes this very difficult, is how is it even possible to make those games appealing to watch? And yeah, exactly. Yeah, El Gordo was the only one who signed up for that one. He was scarred for life after that stream.
Mm-hmm.
But it's that point of like going back to the Skea. And here's your game dev quiz for the Night Shark.
Mm-hmm.
How would you make? And again, like you obviously worked or you made Chromasia as well. How do you make something that is turn-based strategy, lots of menuing, interesting for somebody to watch?
That's a hard one, because I mean that's kind of the thing that you end up with all turn-based games,
Yeah.
and what causes them to be so hard to make trailers for is because most of the gameplay is you thinking
Yeah.
about what you're going to do,
Yeah,
and I don't think you can actually make somebody watching appeal to the thoughts that are going inside your the person who's playing's head, unless you're making all kinds of weird expressions as you come up with ideas. You're like, aha! You're throwing your hand up and everything.
yeah, like Civilization being another good example. That when you look at the trailers for that game, it's the intro, the cinematic intro, and that is the perfect point. What Gordo just said there. Less tournaments for RTS. That was one of the key reasons for the decline of the real-time strategy genre. For those of you who don't remember, the thousands or last decade was all about trying to make RTSs esports friendly. EA pushed heavily into that with Command and Conquer, and it didn't work. Because what's more interesting to watch from the consumer? Some guy menuing and watching, 80 units rush into another 80 units? Or watching, a 5-on-5 match where you can try and, follow it and see what's going on.
Yeah, exactly. And it's really hard. Like, I don't know how you can make turn-based games in general just appeal to that kind of thing. And that's kind of the reason why you don't see much of it on YouTube at all. Yeah. Like, I mean, you see like a few dedicated people who are like really like all into tactical RPGs or RPGs, and then they make nothing but that kind of content, and they have a very targeted audience that is
they're going to watch every one of those
content.
Yeah. They're going to watch every one of those videos or watch every one of those streams. But it is going to be a drop in the bucket compared to somebody streaming Fortnite or Minecraft or anything like that. And I was going to bring up like XCOM as another example of that. Like, I know people, I think there's streamers like Christopher Odd, for instance, who does a lot of XCOM plays. And his audience will probably watch every one of his videos from beginning to end because they love XCOM. But even with that said, it's kind of like the most successful XCOM game would still be considered probably not as popular as even, a pale imitation of Fortnite or Minecraft.
Yeah. I think one thing that gives, XCOM an advantage on the watchability is being able to rename characters. Like, Chromasia had that too.
Darkest Dungeon as well.
Yeah, and and being able to rename characters, you can now rename them after your viewers. I mean, FTL had that too.
Yep.
And you get to see how many of your viewers you get to kill.
Yeah. And to Ogura's point, there's that other point. There are some games that for people that it's better for them to watch it than is to play. Like I've had people, tune into the streams or watch videos of me play Darkest Dungeon saying that I can't play this game at all. It looks interesting. I'm going to watch you play it.
Yeah. I've had some games like that where like I couldn't play them. I just end up, no matter what I do, I just end up failing.
Yeah.
And then there's some games that I just don't understand fully how to play, and then I watch others and like, oh, that's how you do it, kind of thing. And like I ran into that with like Oxygen Not Included. I ran into that with 7 Days to Die. But like those are two of my most played games now.
Yeah.
Just because I couldn't understand how to play them, because like when I started them, there wasn't really any tutorials in there.
Same thing for Darkest Dungeon. Yeah. It's for. Wait, I am a masochist. I play it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there are, and again, like I want to focus again on what Ogura said because I brought it up earlier with Darkest Dungeon, that there are ways to make something that's not exciting, interesting to watch, but I think it's very much a game by game basis. Like you couldn't do, like here's a good example. Going back to the Skea. The Skea features many over-the-top, attack animation cutscenes. They are very interesting to watch, but they are so counterintuitive to how you play the game that there's no reason to have them on. Like, imagine, like, when I do my plays of all those Disgaea-oriented games, if I kept those animations on, it would be pretty much like a minute of play, 2 minutes of cutscenes. And everyone would start to go crazy, including myself, waiting for that to play out.
Yeah. I think what would be best, and probably what I'll go for the next version of Chromasia, is that they need to be, very much, kind of exciting and over the top, but they don't need to be overly long at the same time. And especially for the enemy's turn, because you don't want to be waiting. I think you want to speed up or put a skip in there for the enemy's turn, because I didn't really see that issue much, during gameplay, normal gameplay. But when people played the Halloween map,
remember when I was playing it, and we had about 20 characters still up, and it just kept going and going and going.
But everybody loves that map despite that flaw, because everybody likes the huge fights, the huge scales, and we're requested to put more in there.
Yep.
But like people don't enjoy waiting through all those animations.
Yeah.
So I think what I'm going to do is by default, like put the animation speed for enemies maybe like
2 to 3 times.
It's instead of like at 100% speed like there are now, right? Put them at like maybe 130% or something like that, and then add an option to skip. But it would be just an option, because generally you wouldn't want to press that. You probably want to press that on the Halloween map just to get it over with. But
you still need the information of the player. Like I ran into that with Labyrinth of Refrain, that when I speed things up, it sometimes speeds up so fast I can't see why certain attacks work or sometimes they didn't work. The text log actually scrolls so fast sometimes, like I can't even read, okay, why didn't that spell work? Why didn't that happen? And you have to be really careful about that.
Yeah, that's the reason why I would put it to where all of them are sped up a little bit. But like
it still needs to be comparable or comprehensible.
An optional click to just basically skip all of it.
Yeah.
And then you'll just be, left with the, I don't know what just happened, but that was by choice.
Yeah.
because you just didn't want to see all of it.
Yeah. And
Which is
going
probably not going to be so much of an issue when you have just a few characters on screen, but when you have like hundreds, like on the Halloween map.
And let me check our time because I think we're coming right up to it, maybe like another 5-10 minutes. But I want to go back to that Fell Seal game for a second as well, because that was another case where, from an aesthetic and presentation point of view, it really wasn't hooking me. While, something like Wargroove, from a presentation point of view, that looked amazing, but the gameplay wasn't all that interesting. And if you remember, we were commenting how, the character portraits didn't match the character models on the screen. Like, it looked... Like, again, like, this is one of those things that, however I say it, it's going to come out more of an insult than I want to. But we've seen those games that it may have, like, graphical polish, but it still looks kind of cheap in some aspect.
Yeah, and exactly what you're referring to is part of the problems that we had with our last game, Chromasia. And it's the styles are too mismatching. When you get too mismatched, what happens is apparently is instead of something being greater than the sum of its parts, it's less than the sum of its parts. And that's what happened with Chromasia's graphics is like, the grass matched, the trees and the trees, and different other stuff. And then the roads matched, houses, castles, all this kinds of stuff. But then when you put those two together, it's like, ugh.
Again, like, a lot of people have really gotten an eye towards that, I can't believe I forget the term. Like, when you're, like, just taking assets, like, when you're just taking, like, art from all these other places and sticking it in your game. And, again, like, as you've said before with Chromasia, like, you spent a lot of time to make things look highly polished. But it only looks highly polished kind of in a microcosm. When it all comes together, it gives that illusion that it's like 2 or 3 different things going on at once. And
yeah,
again,
we had somebody look at the thing, and they said, "Man, look at those trees. Those are obviously super low quality. They look like crap." And then I was like, "You mean these trees?" And then I posted the image of that tree. He's like, "Oh my god, that tree looks amazing." And then he looked at it and he's like, "That's the same dang tree. Why does it? Why does it look like crap?"
Yeah,
it's an amazing looking tree, but it looks like the cheapest, worst, most generic piece of crap in the game.
Yep.
Because it doesn't match.
Yeah. And again, like, Darkest Dungeon is the quintessential example of everything matching in that game. Even if it doesn't look like a game that you would want to play, it still looks visually impressive. Despite the fact that, again, there are no attack animations. You're not seeing, like, crazy over-the-top effects like you would in Disgaea or in a Final Fantasy game or anything along those lines. But it all comes together to be interesting on your eyes.
Yeah, Clay is really good at that because heck, you could put all their games together and it looks like they all go together.
Oh yeah,
not just everything in one game. I mean, they can put everything in every one of their games together and look like it goes together.
Yeah, and they're all interesting to look at.
But I wouldn't consider any of them to look good on their own. Like, I would look at, if I were just to look at them each separately, it's like
they're very basic.
They look on their own, they look stupid, basic, and generic. But together, they have this cohesive feel, and it's like I'm teleported to another world kind of thing. It really brings you into the experience. Where I think what happens when you mismatch styles and stuff is it takes you out of the experience because, I don't know, I guess it's almost like a cringe reaction to something.
Almost like the uncanny valley effect. Almost. Yeah. So here's my final question, and I'm going to pose this to everyone in chat. Maybe we can get some comments down below for the people still watching. But going back to stuff like City Builders, to that game like Rise of Ruins I still need to play more of. Like, these are games that they have a unified style to them, but it's still not really interesting for somebody else to watch. Anno being a quintessential example of this. Like, Anno is one of those franchises, like, for people who like it like myself, we can sit and play for 2 to 3 hours like it's nothing. But for an audience, you're pretty much watching paint dry. So, can you make something like that interesting for the viewer, not so much the player, because you've already gotten them hooked?
That I don't know, but if I were to make a guess,
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing, I think what would be most appealing to get people to keep on watching
Mm-hmm.
is animations, stuff that pops from the screen, stuff that keeps your eyes interested. Because in the end, you're using your eyes to watch this. You're using the eyes to consume the content. So if you have like some really cute looking animations, or really
Mm-hmm.
super smooth animations, or really cool looking ones, or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
I think that would go a certain distance on that.
I just.
Because you need to buy time for when the
Mm-hmm.
streamer, YouTuber, or whoever you're watching to think through their moves and everything, and you don't, while they're thinking,
Some.
you need to still entertain
Mm-hmm.
the people who are watching. And the thing is you could build all this stuff in there, and then nobody plays your game on YouTube or
Mm-hmm.
Twitch or anything else, because it is very, very hard to get anybody on there.
Mm-hmm.
So would it even be worth it? And that's a question on scope, scale, and everything else. Because I mean, these could be things that you could potentially put in your trailers, screenshots,
Yeah.
gifs, and use it to sell your game and market over your game. But at the same time, it may not work that
Mm-hmm.
way. It may not help more than what you already have. And it's a all it's left me with more questions than answers, basically.
Yeah. I had a crazy idea, and like this, I think is so out of feature scope that I don't think anyone would be crazy enough to do it. But having a game have essentially two viewpoints. You have the player's viewpoint, which is like all the numbers, all the stats, all the things like that, and then being able to output almost like a viewer version of the game, where it's like the cities, people moving around, more heavy on animations. But again, you're essentially designing almost two different games or two different styles for your game at that point.
I don't know if that would be exactly all that hard to do.
Yeah.
I mean, there's like plugins you can do to
Mm-hmm.
like I don't know much about them, but I know like Magic the Gathering uses them for Twitch,
Mm-hmm.
to where like you can like hover over the stream, and
Yeah.
you've got this plugin in there and everything, and the plugin's already on Twitch side, but
Mm-hmm.
just on the game side, you hover over Magic the Gathering, and
Okay.
you can pop out each one of their cards and read them in detail. You can also look at their deck, and
So.
what cards are in their deck, their whole deck, and you can see that on you can see many different things. You can hover
Hmm.
and look at them in great detail and everything.
So it's kind of like a more advanced version of a spectator mode. Then almost like I know what Blizzard did that. They had the commentator viewpoint that you could play a game in. So you can watch the person, you can watch a match, but you're given like all the features. You know how many units each side has, what their resource count is, things like that.
Yeah,
Hmm.
this got me thinking now that I've said that. And this is another one of those things where I say knowledge, I think of something I didn't know, but maybe Twitch integration, and maybe if YouTube has something like that, might be a
Mm-hmm.
good thing for these kind of games. Because, like, what if in Chromasia I gave, had this kind of thing, and then, the audience could hover over your units that are on screen. Obviously, they couldn't hover over anything that wasn't on screen, but they could hover over it, look at the stats and details of all your characters and what equipment they have, and they can be like,
Mm-hmm.
hey, this guy, your guy named Pedro has crappy armor. Why don't you upgrade that?
Yeah.
And and then they look at, hey, why don't you go for this enemy over here because I think you could actually beat him based on this math here, kind of thing, and that might actually be a good thing to add, kind of thing, and it wouldn't be overly hard. I don't think. I think it would be fairly simple, but I don't know. I haven't actually done it. I mean, I'm definitely doing it on Project Triad because we definitely need something like that in there. But yeah, I mean, it shouldn't be too hard because I mean, in the end, all you have to do is essentially install the API into your game and make sure it runs with your game, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And you've got to link this to like certain UI elements and stuff like that to have them pop up whenever they hover over them.
Yeah.
And then you just got to make sure that everything, all that functions well. And I mean, this could be something that you could install potentially in a day or less.
Yeah. All right. I think that could be a very interesting topic going forward about having more like those stream-friendly, YouTuber-friendly options in these kinds of games. But it is, I think we're about at 2 hours in, so I think we're going to wrap it up for this week, and we'll come up with some more. We have our ever-endless list of topics for next time. But one of these shows in December we'll have to dedicate to kind of end-of-the-year wrap-up mode and see what we've thought about 2019.
Uh-oh.
But for everybody watching, thank you for tuning in. Let us know what you think about the layout and everything. And as well, if you can come with a catchy name for the streams, we could certainly appreciate that. But, there we go. But we'll be back next Sunday around 3:34 p.m. EST. As always, you can follow me on Twitter at GWBicer and check out our Discord link down below. There'll be a link to Shark's Discord in the recorded version of this video or this recorded stream. And if people want to follow you on Twitter, what is the best way?
Nexus Games INC1.
All right. But be sure to come back for daily discussions on game design here and on game wisdom, where some of the art and science of games. And I'll see you later tonight for our more Indie Game Spotlight stream. But until then, everybody, have a great rest of your Sunday. And again, don't go too broke before Monday. But until then, take care.